Well, everybody, it's time to put a capper on this ProQuest season and really on this heavy hitters season in general, because we've finished ProQuest season and now we look towards Part the Mist Veil. But before we get to that point, let's see where we stand as far as the meta is concerned. So if you remember from last week, ProQuest Season 3, Week 3, I should say, ProQuest Season 5, Week 3, looked like this. KO, Armed and Dangerous, sat at the top. Kasai was right behind him. Victor was right behind her. Dorinthia and Azalea kind of led up the top 5 afterwards, and then a nice smattering and breakdown of heroes. I released a video last week saying that I was expecting to see heroes like Kano do pretty well and Bolton do pretty well, and I really wanted to see how if some people jumped onto Levia or if they jumped onto the Riptide bandwagon. So let's take a look and actually see what happened in week number 4, and wouldn't you know it, KO just continued to get better because everyone realized that Savage Sash is a good card, and if you could get your hands on it in that first weekend, then playing it made a ton of sense. Yeah, KO continues to put up numbers, and he is, as you're going to see here in just a moment, blitzing his way towards that Living Legend second half of the point total. I believe actually, I think this week he crossed it. We'll take a look here in a moment. Nevertheless, doing quite a number on that number, making the number go slightly higher and getting better and better. And I've kind of flip-flopped on whether or not that's a good thing or if it's a sad thing or a bad thing. I think I'm kind of settling, and there's been a couple of comments down in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about this, but they've kind of persuaded me to believe that it's like totally fine. It's totally okay to have powerful heroes that are doing really well, that score a lot of points, as long as those heroes are fairly healthy and, you know, not an issue within the metagame. And I think we kind of see that with KO. He's a good numbers deck. He's very powerful. He can do some really cool things, and yet there's counterplay into him. I think that's what makes me kind of land on the side of like, I'm totally cool with it, because I very much like KO. I think he's a really cool deck, and I think he can do degenerately like really powerful things, and I like that in the game. I don't know if I want him to like blink out of his existence like within the first, you know, year of release, but maybe that's okay. Maybe there's nothing wrong with that. Interestingly enough, though, take a look. Victor Goldmane is the second winningest hero this week. I feel like there was a lot of Victors in like top 8s and like top 4s lurking, and this was the week that they either punched through or a bunch of people said, I already have the invite. Do you have the invite? No? Okay. The victor in the top 4 gets the invite. It could very well be that. So again, it's very important to take this with a lot of context. The old grain of salt reference, which is kind of like a pet peeve of mine. I'm not a fan of that reference. Nevertheless, take this with that grain of salt, because it could represent a lot of people going, you know, I've already got the lock-in for my event, so let's just go ahead and do the prize split and it'll go to you. But if we are looking at this as any sort of representation of what heroes are being played at the top tables or in the top 8, Prism is up there as well with 8 wins over this week, making a bit of a resurgence after the past few weeks of being down a little bit. Azalea continuing to put up numbers. Bravo jumps a lot with 5 wins, and Kano sitting there with 5 as well. Sir Bolton does go to 5 wins. I believe that is up from last time. Sir Bolton, nope, he was at 6 before. Now he comes down. Dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Kasai drops all the way to 4 compared to, what was it last week? 17. So that pie chart definitely shifts from week to week. And then some of the big hitters that I was really hoping to see, like Riptide and Levia, they showed up with wins, but not nearly as many as they perhaps could have gotten. Maybe it's just a case of me hoping and not being correct. Maybe it's a case of them not having the best path towards victory. Either way, it breaks down this way, and let's take a look at the season as a whole, because overall, the classic constructed wins look like this. KO sits at the top of them all with 79 wins. We'll take a look at the Living Legend leaderboard here after we look at this, but I just want to encapsulate this right here. KO is the most winning deck in this format, and it's, I would say, not particularly close. Victor makes a surge late and kind of pushes himself firmly in the lead, because keep this in mind, he's at 54 right now, but that's 16 wins in the last week. And if you go back, he was sitting at 15. So goes up, and that puts him strongly in second place. Azalea, on the back of week 1 and week 2 particularly, gets that 39 wins. But then look at the gradation. Look how close everything is. Prism 38, Kasai 36, Dorinthia 31, Kano, it drops off a bit, 23, then Katsu 21, Dromai on her way out on that first week, still got 20 wins. Sir Bolton with 19, Dash IE with 16, Reinar picking up 13, Levia right behind Reinar, which I would not have picked at the beginning of this ProQuest season. Tell me if you would have picked that in the comment below. Do you think you would have at the beginning of ProQuest season said Reinar would have more ProQuest wins than Levia? I don't think I would say that. That's pretty cool. Max with 10, Bravo with 9, Teklo Vossen with 9. There was some talk at the beginning of this entire affair that Teklo Vossen was sort of going to push up a little bit, and once Dromai was gone, he was going to assert his dominance over the control side of things, and it didn't really come to fruition, but maybe there's still space. Azuri with 9 as well. That was, to me, an underperformer. Viserai with 9. I would say that's an overperformer compared to previous results in previous tournaments, where he's been non-existent. Riptide as well, same thing, with 8 wins. That's way up. And then other heroes, including Dash.io for 3 wins. Aratni picked up 1, Phi picked up 1, Olympia picked up 1, and Vincent picked up 1. So down the board, we have all of our heroes. And let's take a look at where they stand as far as Living Legend points. So the Living Legend leaderboard is here, and at the top of the leaderboard continues to be Dash, Inventor Extraordinaire. She moved up, I think it was week 2 or week 3, after one of those 2 weeks. She moved into position with 810, Phi limping along in this heavy hitter season, not making much headway at all. Bravo picked up a couple of notable points in the last 2 weeks of the season and moves into 711 points. Katsu with a decent amount of points this season as well, 655. Viserai made a little bit of movement up to 535, and Azalea making a large charge forward, 325 points in a singular season. Now, this has been a long season because it's encapsulated both the ProQuest, that we're just ending, and the Road to Nationals as well. This has been the entire first half of the year, basically. So 325 points in the first half of the year, making a lot of change and a lot of move here, which is a pretty big deal. But we have to go down here. Yes, Dorinthia. We have to go right here to KO, Armed and Dangerous. He did indeed cross over the threshold. He's reached the first half of his Living Legend journey, and he's moving into the second leg of that journey. 517 points in the first half of the year. Not even half of the year, in the first 4 months of the year. Can he get there in the end? Now, think of it this way. Remember this. We have just gone through some of the biggest point earning events of the year, right? We have ProQuests that earned mass amount of points all over the world. Road to Nationals earned mass amount of points all over the world. From this point forward, in order to go the rest of the way, to go the distance, KO is going to have to pick up Battle Hardened wins, US National Championship wins, US National Championship wins, National Championship wins across the board if they are large or small, and or World Championship Pro Tour. You could win the Pro Tour that's coming up here in a month or so. It's going to have to be these big ticket items. Now, does he have the capacity to do that? Certainly. The deck is very good. There are now, I would describe them as 2 legit archetypes to KO. It's not just whether or not you're playing a more mid-range or more aggressive version of KO. Now it's whether or not you're playing the standard KO or the Sash KO, which I truly believe is going to require you to change more than just 3 cards. You can just put big numbers down, of course, by playing the normal list, but I think you can build into the Sash archetype even more to get max value out of it at any given turn, and kind of really capitalize on that. Nevertheless, I do think he has the capacity to get there. It's just going to take a lot of these other types of large-scale events. He's not the only one that's moving, though. Kasai also picked up 328 points, edging out Azalea for the next biggest jump. And she also is one of those heroes that came out in heavy hitters in January. So both heroes, even though she's only gotten to the 328 mark, those heroes have been around for 4 months. I love these heroes. I think this is one of my favorite sets. Heavy Hitters has been one of my favorite sets of this entire game. And so I have a love-love relationship with these heroes, and I don't really want to see them go. I feel like none of them are toxic, none of them are really annoying, and all of them are really cool, thematic, and well-designed. And so I am like of the opinion, even though I think it's okay to have powerful, fun heroes, I'm of the opinion that I'd love for them to stick around for the long haul because they're really cool and really fun. Even Victor Goldman in his stupid, ugly face. I mean, I can't say that, he's beautiful. But nevertheless, he gets 274 points moving up. Prism Awakener of Soul also making a big surge forward. And this kind of brings me to a main point that I probably should have led with earlier, and I'm just going to put this on the screen. This right here, the culmination of this Heavy Hitters season, has to be looked at and viewed as an absolute meta win for LSS. How do we look at this and look at how RTNs kind of unfolded, and played out? How do we look at this and not say that it's just a massive win from a competitive meta standpoint? Look at how many heroes scored points, or look at how many heroes picked up wins. Look at how many heroes were represented across the board. That pie chart does not exist in other games to this same extent. Like, give me a pie chart of any other game that looks like this, and I'll say, good for y'all. That's awesome. Because honestly, quite frankly, that is awesome. This is a rarefied thing, and it's important to understand that not only are we playing a well-designed game and a fun game and a really rewarding game, but it's being well-designed, and it's the rewards of that good design is something that we get to experience in this type of meta. So no matter where you fall on whether or not a stupid armory deck should be printed one more time, or if the cards have $12 of value, they don't, they have more than that, or $25 of value, it does not matter. It really doesn't matter for a new player. By the way, if you want to know my opinions on the Armory deck, let me know that in a comment below, and I will still make that review video of the Armory deck, because I think there are some good things and some improvements that could be made to that product. Either way, those things are small potatoes. They are small beans in comparison to the fact that we get to play a very good game, a very well-supported game, and a very growing game that is Flesh and Blood. And look at how good we have it. We have it incredibly good. So leaving this ProQuest season behind and moving into the next set, which has been called the magnum opus of Flesh and Blood, I mean, we could be in for a real treat. And if you would like to be in for a real treat, well then check back next week to this channel, because I have a spoiler for you. And I can't tell you anything about the spoiler, but I can say that it's beautiful. So if you like pretty, beautiful things, then you need to come back for exactly that. And if you enjoy videos where I talk to the camera and I look deeply into your eyes, and I whisper sweet nothings into your ear while you probably wash dishes or put your baby to bed, well, then you've come to the right place. Make the number go slightly higher. I'll whisper so that I don't wake them up. Make that number up there go slightly higher, and join the Patreon, because every little bit helps. As always, thanks for watching.